We're continuing to follow the breaking news out of Waukesha, Wisconsin, where a red SUV barreled down parade goers. On November the 21st at 4:39 p.m. at Gasper in Maine, a red SUV drove through barricades headed westbound. We now know it injured nearly 60 people, and there are 6 confirmed fatalities. Darrell Brooks appeared in court for a bail hearing on Tuesday, November the 23rd. Waukesha County Court Commissioner Kevin M. Costello opened by informing members of the gallery that they would need to remain calm during the proceedings, even with emotions being so high. He stated that no media besides a pool camera was allowed to be used in his courtroom. Brooks was then escorted in by 2 officers wearing a face mask, cuffs, and a green jail suit. He was sat by his attorneys. The commissioner said at the time of the hearing there were 5 charges, all of which have probable cause. Those charges are first-degree intentional homicide, a Class A felony for Victim A, first-degree intentional homicide, a Class A felony, Victim B, first-degree intentional homicide, Class A felony, Victim C, first-degree intentional homicide, Class A felony, Victim D, first-degree intentional homicide, Class A felony, Victim E. All of these charges face an individual life in prison charge. The state also informed the commissioner that there was a 6th fatality in the tragedy, and they will seek the same charges either Friday or early next week. They will continue to monitor the victims involved and look at additional charges based on their injuries, both physical and emotional. The state then went on to explain that Mr. Brooks has a lengthy criminal history. They list 17 past criminal and civil interactions in 3 different states. Those states are Wisconsin, Nevada, and Georgia. The charges are as followed. In Wisconsin, in 2000, he was charged with battery and sentenced to prison, which was waived for probation. In 2002, he was convicted of possession of marijuana as a repeat offender and served 50 days. 2003, he had a resisting and obstruction charge, serving 20 days. 2005, he had a county ordinance violation for disorderly conduct. He also failed to pay a fine for that, and served 30 days for that non-payment. In 2009, he was arrested and charged with obstructing an officer, serving 2 days. 2010, he has strangulation, suffocation, battery, criminal destruction of property charges. He was sentenced to 3 years probation. That probation was then revoked on August 1st of 2011, where he served 11 months in jail. 2012, he had 2 different charges, the first being a possession of marijuana charge as a repeat offender, bail jumping, and possession of THC, serving 180 days. Also in 2012, he had another resisting and obstruction charge, serving 37 days. On July 20th of 2020, there were 2 pending charges from Milwaukee County for endangering while armed. On July 24th, 2020, there was a pending charge for illegal possession of a firearm. In November of 2021, on the 2nd, there are 4 pending charges in Milwaukee County for resisting obstruction, bail jumping, reckless endangerment, and domestic violence and battery. It is alleged that he struck the mother of his child with a closed fist and then ran over her with the same maroon Ford Escape used in the November 21, 2021 incident. He also ignored police orders during the arrest. Moving to Nevada now, on December 11, 2006, he was found guilty at trial for obstruction of an officer and served an unknown amount of time. The same date, he pled guilty to a domestic violence battery charge, which was suspended. On March 16, 2007, he was found guilty for statutory sexual seduction, which is a felony. He was sentenced to 36 months probation in Nevada and must register as a sex offender. He was non-compliant with that registration order. On June 23, 2016, he has a failure to register as a sex offender first offense charge. There is an active warrant for Mr. Brooks for that failure to appear in court. Finishing in Georgia with his criminal history, on May 27, 2021, he was charged with battery, family violence. It is unclear if he was charged in that case. However, he did serve 6 months in a Georgia prison. There's an outstanding 2003 paternity case as well, where he was found to be the father of a juvenile in order to pay child support. It was found that he failed to pay that child support, and there were 8 issued warrants. He served jail time for failure to pay that child support. On August 2nd, 2021, another warrant for non-payment of support was issued, and he served another 120 days in jail. On November 16, 2021, he appeared in court and was released at that time. Another court date is scheduled for December. Based on all of these charges, the state says that Mr. Brooks is a flight risk and has an issue with following court orders. They recommend a $5 million bond. The defense was then allowed a rebuttal where they stated that Brooks was, quote, financially indignant, end quote, and qualifies for a public defender. They say that all of that must also be taken into account when setting bail. Before deciding what that bail amount would be, the commissioner laid out conditions to be associated with the bail. Those are as follows. He is to be monitored through WCS if that bail is posted. He is not to leave Wisconsin. Release is only to happen during business hours on a business day. The sheriff is to immediately contact the WCS if he is released. He is to immediately go to WCS, which is very close to the sheriff's office. If he does not show up quickly, they will then notify the sheriff and public that he is non-compliant. He is not to operate a motor vehicle and have any possessions of firearms or weapons. He is not to contact any of the families listed on the victim ID sheet. If there is a failure to comply or return to court, additional bail jumping charges would be added.
I have no problem with the bail being recommended by the state. I'm an old guy who has been doing this for almost 40 years. DA's office, criminal defense attorney, 17, 18 years as a commissioner, both in Milwaukee and now in Waukesha. The nature of this offense is shocking. Actually, the detail I was not expecting here today, that two detectives, not lay people, detectives, not only tried to stop this, but rendered an opinion that this was an intentional act. You're presumed innocent, sir, but that's what the allegations are. And I've not seen anything like this in my very long career. It seems to be a very strong case for the state. Likelihood of incarceration, which is the other aspect of bail, is absolute. If you are found guilty of any one of these, a multitude of them, it's a life imprisonment sentence that must be meted out. So I have no problem. I just, with that bail, it's extraordinarily high, but it's an extraordinarily big case. It's an extraordinarily serious case with an extraordinary history of this gentleman, of fleeing, of hurting people, of not following court orders, not following criminal laws, not following just your societal norms. So I know that that's extraordinarily high bail. It's warranted here, and I am setting cash bail in the amount of $5 million.
The defense waived time limits on the trial, and the next court date is scheduled for January 14th, 2022 at 9:15 a.m. The state wishes to speak to victims before that time, and if it's not possible, they will contact the court as soon as possible to let them know of a possible change of date. Brooks was then escorted back out of the courtroom. He took a moment to stop and look at the gallery before being removed from the room. Present were Attorney Hopper, Attorney Perry, and Commissioner Kevin M. Costello. The commissioner ended by thanking and commending the audience for the handling of the proceedings and asked that they continue that in the future if they decide to attend cases. To watch the entire court hearing via Fox 6 Milwaukee, visit the description below and click on the link. For Zahner News, this is Josh Zahner. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.